So, Dave, thank you so much for giving us your time today. And I'm particularly aware at the moment that I'm here in Wellington, and it means that I'm not up in Auckland, my home. And so I wanted to tell me a little bit about how this second wave, how everyone in Auckland's doing, and particularly how everyone in your community is doing.
Look, Prime Minister, it's a great honour to be here and speak to you. And when you announced it, and then the next day we did a big food drive. I opened up and we just went live and said, look, come in before 10 and let's get all this food out just to help people. I really noticed as people were coming in, there was a lot more desperation in people and just uncertainty of how they're going to get through this. You know, a lot of our people only just got through the first one, and then we were building ourselves back up. And then the second one hit, so I think that's the main sense.
We worked really hard to make sure that there's lots of government support out there for people, particularly, if they need to take leave because they have COVID or they're waiting for a COVID test or they need to be in isolation. If they lose their job, we've got something called a COVID income payment. And of course, we have the wage subsidy scheme as well. What do you think we can do to make sure that people know that help is out there and make sure that they're accessing that support that is there for them?
I think there's a stigma and a shame, especially amongst our people in the Māori PI. A lot of the times we're too embarrassed to ask for help. And what we're trying to put across is there's no need to be embarrassed to ask for help. The sad thing is if your kids are at home hungry because you didn't ask for help. So I think getting the message out there that there's no need to be whakama and embarrassed about it, that's what these services are there for. So I think just addressing that issue about, okay, what's our processes here at the grassroots in the WINS offices? How can we better help? Because in my opinion, people need to walk in there and feel safe, like what we do at EBM,
I absolutely agree. In fact, one of the things we started when we came into office was a culture change program, and that came right down to making sure that the space of work and income felt like a more welcoming space. So we've been redesigning even things like the waiting room and making sure that they are more welcoming, making sure that there's spaces for kids to play, toys that are available, just simple things. Yeah. But our view is that culture change makes a really big difference. And so I really hope that no one should feel any shame in accessing the support that we've put in place. 1.7 million New Zealanders have accessed the wage subsidy because it was there for everyone. And I hope people feel like it's there for everyone because we are all in it together when it comes to COVID.
Yeah, 100%. That's our saying. We're all in this together,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Hey, when it comes to one of the other things that we're really mindful of is testing, and making sure people are accessing testing is such an important part of looking after everyone. The response from the community, particularly in South Auckland, particularly our Pacific community, has been amazing. We wouldn't have been able to get where we are without the work that they have done. How do you think we can keep up encouraging people to get tested? Because we won't keep succeeding unless we do.
Really, I just want to encourage all of our people out there that in order for us to get out of this as quick as possible and safely, we need to do all we can, to make sure that happens. And I always relate it back to, health. Like my journey, I've lost 100 kilos and that was amazing. But the hardest thing is keeping it off, and it's not being complacent. I think as a nation, if we're just not complacent, we stay strong and stay vigilant, we can get through this and get out of it and hopefully stay out of it.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And our form of vigilance is making sure people keep getting tested. So we'll keep making sure that it's easy and available. It is free, whether you get tested at your doctor's office or at a medical centre, or if you go to a community testing station, it is always free. And also all we need is contact details. So people don't need to have identification. It's not reliant on anyone's legal status. Yep. We just need a name and it's all free. And so I hope that means that people find it really easy and accessible.
Yeah, well, I went and done it, and it was nice and easy. And while you're sitting in the car waiting, you can update your Instagram and stuff. So,
how did you find the test?
Oh, look, it was fine. Because I'd seen it happen so much, and I was a little bit apprehensive, but had to lead by example. So I went and got it done. Not as bad as what I thought. Right before you start panicking, then it's finished. So
yeah. I haven't been symptomatic. I haven't been sick, and so I've had no reason to have a test. But I always think about when you go and get and of course this is just a swab up the nose.
Yeah.
But I'm reminded when you get an injection, and the nurse always says just a scratch. They probably try and pretend it's just a tickle, just
Yeah,
a tickle up the nose.
it's only 8 seconds. So right, you start go, and then it's finished. So
Yeah.
it was fine. One of our members actually tested positive, which is the reason why I had to go and get done, get tested just to be sure. But yeah, it was for us. It was good that I took it as a positive that it happened to us, because we're quite high profile in what we do. So, it happened. We went on 7 Sharp, and it just showed, look, there's no shame, there's no embarrassment. You just have to make sure that your protocols are in place and you can handle it, because it could happen to anyone.
And there is no shame. In fact, everyone who goes out and gets tested or is helping us by getting tested is actually just part of our team. And, if people who were unwell weren't doing that, then we could end up with outbreaks that could affect many, many more people, and that could take lives. So people save lives by getting tested.
I said that our members are superhero. Anyone who comes out and admit and says they're positive, so that we can get everything done, is a superhero. So
yep, absolutely right. Absolutely right.
One of the questions that we're hearing a lot from people, on the ground, is that they're worried that if they test positive, they're going to lose their jobs. Is that true?
Oh, no, absolutely not. In fact, we've specifically put in place support for people so that, if they do test positive, they can stay home, they can look after themselves, and they can continue to get financial support while they do that. So absolutely not. In fact, the opposite. People who go out and get tested are looking after all New Zealanders. So we really want to encourage that.
And what happens if something like that, if it's a dodgy employer, what happens? What can they do? Is there somewhere they can go?
Well, we want to know. And so probably the easiest thing is, if someone has had that experience, they might then go and seek some support, maybe through Work and Income. They can share that information there, or they can look up MB, that's our Ministry for Business. There are numbers on there of people to call who look after our workers in the workplace, because no one should lose their job if they test positive for COVID. No one.
So that's really reassuring for people. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I wondered a little bit, one of the things that has been happening throughout COVID and around the world, not just in New Zealand, is there's been lots of rumours and quite a bit of misinformation. Is there anything like that that you've seen that you've been worried about?
I just posted about it, actually, that where the Ministry for Pacific Peoples did a campaign, We Got Your Back, Aotearoa, and that's what I spoke about. We can't get our advice and our information from memes, social media posts and Instagram. I think the rumors, the most that I'm hearing is that who can we trust? That's one thing that I'm hearing. Who can we trust? And that COVID, the most common one is COVID's just a common cold, and that more people die from the flu. That's the most common one I'm hearing all the time. When I'm posting stuff and people are saying, why are you doing that? Why are you posting? It's just a cold. More people die from the flu. So I'm always getting hammered with that on social media.
Yeah. And that's one that I've heard a lot too. And I wonder sometimes if that's why people think that the cost of COVID is not so high and we should just try and live with it. There's many things that I'll remember about COVID in the world, but I can tell you, on the first wave, one of the things that kept me awake at night was when we had someone in hospital that was the same age as my partner, who had kids. And I just couldn't imagine what it would be like for that family. But he was a young man, and we've had that again since. Young people in hospital, critically unwell. And so this is not like the flu, and it's not like a common cold. And I think we all have a duty to look after one another.
It's definitely not a cold. We had a young friend of ours that had it as well. And he said it was really bad. It felt like he was going to die. That's why I'm so, I'm out there with making sure that we post everything up that we should,
Yeah, absolutely. And it affects some people differently. Some people won't be as badly affected, but there are just too many who are affected in such a horrific way. So thank you for helping deal with the conspiracy theories that exist out there. One of the things, so we've been asking people to do 3 things. We've been asking them to stay home if they're sick, to get tested, and we've also been asking them to use face coverings in Auckland. I just wondered, whether or not you'd seen any good tips and advice to help people with some of those 3 tips, particularly face coverings, because I know that's new advice.
Yeah, the face coverings thing, it's so important, and it's also understanding, like what you said. You can fashion a face mask out of anything, like bandana or scarf. So there's really no excuse, and that's our saying at PBM, no excuse. So
yeah.
You can fashion
it. Is that what this is?
Yeah, you wondered what the X means. It means no excuses. So next time at your 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. meetings, throw it up. No excuses.
I feel like I'd get memed quite quickly if I did this.
I'll do it for you. No excuses.
Right, thank you.
Wear a mask. No excuses.
Yeah.
It's something so simple that you can do. I think one thing that we've seen in South Auckland is a lot of community groups out there now distributing masks. And I just got called yesterday from a corporate, wanting to invest in masks and having us distribute. So awesome. That's a good sign. That's awesome. The other. How can people get access to masks if they can't afford them? Because if it's a mask or a loaf of bread, it's
and a good point. In fact, this is one of the things that we wanted to make sure we were really clear on. You don't have to use a surgical mask, because I know that they are expensive. Some people are finding them hard to find. I saw recently on social media Nano Girl, Michelle Dickinson. So she does amazing work, and she's been helping share lots of good tips through COVID. And I thought I was going to try with you, Dave, replicating the mask making that she did on her Instagram. So I found some cloth. Do you want to stay with me for this crafting session? So I cut out a square of material that I had in my office. Obviously, I just had a big piece of red material.
I'll do it with you as well.
Do it with me. Okay.
A BBM, no excuses.
Oh, good. Awesome. Okay, so we've both got our red cloth. I want everyone to know we didn't organize this beforehand. So this one's kind of the same size as yours, a decent size. So mine's about the size of a handkerchief.
I've got a big head.
Yeah. So I've got 2 hair ties. So maybe you might need to tie yours, but mine's not long enough to tie. So I've got 2 hair ties. Your hair's not long enough for that. So I'm then going to turn mine in, fold it in over itself so that so I folded it like this. Yep. Now is yours just going to tie all the way around your face?
No.
Will yours just tie around? Yeah, so yours is not too bad there. Mine's a bit shorter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a hair tie on each end. I'll show you. It's going to look a bit like a Christmas cracker. So mine looks like a Christmas cracker. Then I'm going to fold it in on itself like this.
Okay. Oh, yep.
Yep. And then this bit doesn't look fancy, but
it's good. Awesome.
And then we're just going to tuck it in, and then you have a face covering.
No excuse. I did post up today. Have you seen with people with masks?
No excuses.
People pass with masks and they have this issue. Post it on my Instagram today, and I'll tag you in it after.
I don't know if you saw that Ashley Bloomfield suggested using sellotape underneath your face mask to stop you getting steamed up glasses. I don't know how that works.
I got the secret. So you're up here, and you make this nice and fashioned around your nose. Okay, and you have it quite up high on the bridge of your nose. Okay, and then nothing. See?
Oh, so you set it up a little higher. Okay.
Up higher. So
I don't know if that's going to work with my one, but but there you go. A piece of cloth and 2 hair ties. So
perfect.
That's my first time crafting. And I can tell you, I had it laid out on the desk, so I have proof that I did that in the office today. I'm going to pull out my glitter gun later. Hey, Dave, well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for sharing your insights, some of your motivation around working with the community on COVID, and just trying to keep everyone's spirits up in these times as well. So thank you very much.
I really appreciate it. That's what it is. Just trying to be positive, and we're all going to get through this.
Thanks again, Dave. Look after yourself.
Bye.
Take care.